talking about season 3, episode 4 of Unexpected called Emotions in Pregnancy.
I feel like this one it does kind of go back and forth. There was a lot of emotions for each of our couples, but at the same time, I think it was a really good build-up episode. I think the next one is going to be a really good one, but this one, I think there was a lot of prep happening for a lot of chaos that's to come. What did you think?
Agreed. They were building us up, and then I felt like we were left on some cliffhangers. So I'm hoping next week they fill in some gaps for us.
Yes. So, do you want to start off with Isabel and Bryce?
Sure, sure. We started out with Tasha going to talking about meeting up with Connie and Sue.
Which I have I have so many feelings because part of me is like, yeah, absolutely, talk it out. And the other part of me is like, their kids are granted 18 is always going to be your baby, but why are the kids not trying to figure this out? Like, why are the parents of the parents doing it? Like, I have such mixed opinions. These parents are so involved that they shouldn't be this involved over a fight between two quote adults.
I mean, I think it's very bizarre that Bryce and Isabella are not invited to this meeting. Like,
Right.
we're not just having a family conversation because I could see that. We're
Yes.
all involved in this now. This is a mutual grandchild, great grandchild, child. Like, we should all be invested. And so I could see everybody sitting down. Amazing if we sat down with a therapist. I think that would be a really good place to start.
That would be
Um,
ideal, but what's nobody's going to therapy in this group.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be court ordered probably. Um, but yeah, they're not going to voluntarily probably do it. Even though I think that it's a nice idea to sit down and we're going to squash this and we're going to figure some things out. I'm skeptical, but it's a nice concept.
Yeah, I agree. I think the it's very hard because at the end of the day, like your instinct as a parent is to protect your kid. And when you feel like your kid is being threatened or talked bad about, like you want to protect them, right? So I see
Hmm.
where both sides are getting defensive. Do I agree with both sides? Absolutely not. But I see how they both are like, okay, like they're digging their heels in, really. And neither side, I think, is gonna see the light.
Right.
um, I think they're both coming in expecting the other person to bend versus them.
Hmm.
Like this whole bullying my son is bullshit. We know it's bullshit.
Oh my goodness.
Nobody has bullied anybody. We're just
That's some
disagreeing. We're being catty.
crybabies.
Like,
Most crybaby stuff I've ever heard. He's being bullied. Okay. Is he getting a wedgie? Is he getting like trolled online by Isabella? I just feel like that's a weird word.
it was. But I think it's just a trigger word, right? Like whenever someone doesn't get
Mhm.
their way and they feel like someone's being mean, they're being a bully. There's no concept of what that word actually means anymore, I think.
Yeah. I think it gets used out of context a lot.
Yeah.
And it does seem to be something that Bryce's family relies on heavily. And it seems like everybody's got different trigger words that they're using all of the time. And that's forms the basis of their arguments for why they all can't stand each other. And it doesn't really help us get anywhere, probably, because we should just be talking about factually what's going on and not just putting these sweeping labels on something. It's different if you want to talk about abuse, if we want to talk about neglect, if we want to talk about, these arguments are escalating to a point where they shouldn't be. I think there's ways to talk about it without just saying it's bullying. It sounds very childish. And like you
Yes.
said, everyone is adults.
Yeah, and I think also speaking of being an adult, you as an adult should be able to have a conversation without
Hmm.
assuming it's going to become a physical altercation. And
Definitely.
both sides are going into this like ready to fight and very vocal that they're ready to fight, which I think is kind of trashy. Like, you're going into this conversation telling us that you have the intention of talking it out, we're going to figure it out, meet in the middle for our grandbaby. But in the same breath, you're sitting here be saying, "Oh, it'd be a shame that I have to go back to jail for fighting someone because I'm on probation." Like,
That was a bomb that got dropped, huh?
and I think like Bryce's mom said it too. She's like prepping the vibe that like she's ready to throw down at any time, which again I think is wild. That that's your instinct is we're gonna talk, but really we're gonna fight.
Yeah, because Tasha says that she's on probation for theft of property and aggravated robbery, and it would suck to go back to jail for fighting, and she could do up to 20 years if she violates her probation, which is insane that you're even going to this meeting, let alone alone. This should be happening in a therapist's office, or you should be having this over the phone so that it cannot escalate. Like, there's no reason that you guys should be meeting in like ex parte like this.
Right. If you have a genuine concern like that, why are you risking all these other things for that? And when she said that, like it'd be shame to go back to jail, it kind of triggered my brain to think about her kids because she has a lot of
Right.
kids. We know
Mm-hmm.
she has one in custody of hers.
Mm-hmm.
Isabel's 18, so she's not in anybody's custody anymore. So she could have, but like, what about all these other kids that we haven't seen? And if she's been to jail, my question now is, does she have custody of any of these other kids?
I don't know if maybe they're adults or maybe they live with their fathers, because it seems like they all have different fathers. So there could be multiple different custody things. But
But she
Isabella,
said that all her baby daddies are trash and just get her pregnant and leave.
mm, true.
So
I, ugh.
it's weird. Like I wonder if she doesn't actually have custody of the rest of them, or if she
She,
even had custody of Isabel at one time because she's 18. She could have come back.
well, it's very hard to maintain custody while you're in prison, especially if you
Exactly.
do not have the other parent living in the home filling in the gaps while you're in prison.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to prison and your husband is home and just has custody of your kids, then there's not going to be an exchange of custody, really. But if you're a single parent with full custody and you go to prison, the kids have to go somewhere. They can't stay at home alone.
Right.
And Isabella must have been under 18 when that was all happening, that she was in prison, because
Right.
she's just 18 now.
So that's why I'm like, I wonder if she lost custody of Isabel at one point, and now that she's 18, she's come back to her mom, or I mean, she obviously got the youngest one either happened prior to her going to jail or she got her back since then. It's a very interesting dynamic. So I'd be very curious if we get more information about that as the show goes on.
Definitely. And, it's very easy to look at Tasha and say, wow, that is trashy, to say that you're going to fight Bryce's family and you're going to risk going to prison. And I was very much judging her. And then Nan was saying the same thing.
And
Oh,
so
I'll fight
was
her.
I can't remember the
Well,
daughter's
Connie,
name.
I have already
Connie.
written off completely. I have nothing good to say about Connie.
All
So
three.
for me, the parents are Nana Sue and Tasha. Those are the moms
Yes.
that
No, I
I'm talking
agree.
about,
I agree.
because Connie is like a background character who talks way too much. Like, she
About
wants to be
nothing.
main character, but she doesn't even know these people. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Um and I mean,
She's
I
just
don't
like
want to
the little
I
hype man in the corner.
Yeah. And I'm glad that Pawpaw is not planning on attending this meeting, because his talking heads, he comes off worse and worse and worse. He's literally calling Isabella a bitch. Are you seriously saying that about your grandson's pregnant 18-year-old girlfriend? You're going to call her a bitch on TV?
I just
That
don't
is,
think he has any concept of like anything. I think we
he,
kind of hit the nail of like he's the hothead of the family, which is saying something the more we get to know this family. Like,
ugh, ugh, ugh. I mean, I feel like that's pretty much all that was going on with their family. Oh, I guess the cliffhanger that we've been left on is that Isabella tells her mom that she needs to pull over because she has to tell her something, which I personally hate when reality TV does that to us. Just say it. What
I
is it?
know, right? I agree. And then just from like a me putting myself into that situation, I can't believe her mom just kept driving. Like if like if she was like, "All right, honey, I'm looking for a place to pull over." Like if someone said that to me, I'd be like, "I'm pulled over right now. Yep, done. What's going on?" Because like that's
Yeah.
never something that's like followed by good news. Like,
Right. Well, that's like if someone asks if you're sitting down, I would
yeah,
just always say yes, and then I'll fall on the ground
right. Like
probably.
I'll deal with it after. Like if
Right.
I had
I'll
someone,
lie.
yeah, or I would just pull off to the side of the road. They live in the country. It's fine. Just pull over.
Yeah. I
Like,
just you're in the process of pulling over, just say you pulled over. It's fine. I mean, I understand you don't want your mom to crash the car. That is being considerate. But
no,
also, do you not live with her? Is this the
right.
moment?
And like I agree. Like just if you don't want it to have your mom crash, completely get where Isabel is coming from. But mom, pull over immediately. Not all right. Let me find a place. Let me keep driving down the road and eventually find something.
Yeah,
I just thought that was
exactly.
weird. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't really know what it's gonna be that she's gonna say. I think it could be a multitude of things because this couple and these families are just a ball of chaotic trash. So I don't even know what it's gonna be.
Yeah. I I definitely agree. I'm looking forward to finding out what it is. I'm sure it's nothing good, and it's probably something that could have been discussed prior to when Tasha is on the way to
Oh,
meet them.
absolutely. There's no question.
Worst possible moment to pick, but whatever. We'll see next week. Do we want to talk about Amaya, even though nothing happened
Ugh,
again?
I love the show, but they're really starting to piss me off with this couple.
Just cut them out. There's no plot.
And I get that they're trying to like show stuff, but maybe you have to film longer to get more content from them and like do some editing play, and that's fine. But they have like 5 minutes every episode, and it's starting to get to the point that I just don't care anymore because there's all these
Hmm.
other things happening, and we know that this couple has their problems. Any teen parents are going to have problems. Any
Sure.
adult parents that are new are going to have problems. But I think they're the most normal of the four,
Hmm.
which I maybe from like a reality TV show standpoint that makes it less like all right, you're not going to show them as much. But I also think maybe that's important to show the normal fights that people get. I don't know. I'm just annoyed that
Yeah.
they're not
I,
again anything.
I guess they want to show the more explosive content, and there's nothing explosive happening, which I do understand. But for the purposes of recapping, it's a real dead spot because literally in this episode, I mean, it could have been a big episode. Jose asked Amaya's mom if he could move in. She agrees to it, but he has to be on the couch. No hanky panky. They're talking about money, which is always interesting. And it somehow just felt extremely flat. I mean, I think personally, asking Jose to contribute 25% of his hypothetical paycheck is more than reasonable.
Hmm.
And he seems to be agreeing to it, even though he's a kid. So
He
he
doesn't have a
is,
choice. She basically said, agree to this or get out.
yeah. And I think that's also pretty reasonable because otherwise he's just some bum living in your house and there's no plan. These things should be worked out before he moves in, I think.
I agree. The only thing that I thought was interesting about this budget was they were going through. I agree about the 25% goes towards the household, like quote rent and like the bills of the house. Totally think that's fair. He is
Hmm.
another body in the house.
Yeah.
Um, but then she said anything that Sammy, their baby, needs to be covered between the two of them. She's not going to be
Hmm.
helping out financially.
Hmm.
Again, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
But what I kind of noticed towards as she was talking about this budget, we're only talking about him getting a job.
Right.
And at no point has it ever been mentioned that she expects Amaya to get a job. However, the two of them are responsible financially for this baby, but he seems to be the only one getting pushed to get a job.
Right. But I wonder if maybe what we're not saying is that neither of these kids is in a position to make more than what daycare would cost, which I don't know how much they've looked into it because sometimes when you're very low income, you can get subsidies and it's less expensive. And if she's in high school, there may be a program where she could get childcare. But like, unfortunately and stereotypically, childcare does usually fall more on the mother, especially for newborns, infants. And putting a baby in daycare is extremely expensive. Like Jose's check would not even cover that. And if Amaya was working, I think all of their money would be going towards that at this point.
Oh, I completely agree from like a that perspective. Yeah. I think it's just more of when they were talking money, she distinctly was like, the two of you will be covering Sammy,
Mm-hmm.
but only one of them has a job. So it really would be him being responsible for 100% of his kid, which when you're making minimum wage is a lot. You're not making ends
Right.
meet.
Sure.
So,
But to be fair, he didn't have a job before and he just was like existing at his mom's house. And now they have a kid. I feel like they're not really explaining. I don't know what time of year it is, but if he's in school, maybe she's still on
I was,
maternity leave or whatever.
yeah, they're both, we assume, in school. To as far as we know, they're both still in school.
Yeah. I wonder if the other thing they're not saying is that when they get these checks from Unexpected, that she is expecting them to both use their checks towards the baby and his expenses
Maybe.
because it's annoying. They can't break the fourth wall or whatever. So they aren't
Right.
talking about that. I'm not saying Amaya shouldn't get a job or that she shouldn't be financially responsible. I just think that it's also like she is doing a lot of unpaid labor at this point because
Oh, sure. She just had the baby, for
she
sure.
just had the baby. Yeah. And someone
Because
needs
that's
to
the
take
only thing
care
we
of
know
him.
about her.
We know nothing about her. And I wish they would talk about their educations because I feel like when you're a sophomore or junior in high school, it's interesting to be juggling that with a baby. And if they're both going to be in school full time and she's supposed to be taking care of the baby full time and he's supposed to work part time, it's a lot. And I think they're going to have a lot of stress and tension, which is understandable. And I think even if they were being completely financially provided for, they would still have stress and tension.
Yeah,
But it's a lot on their very young relationship.
I agree. But I think to your point, that would be a good, for a quote, normal couple, that would be a good thing to focus in on is, as you said, like the mother does, particularly at these early stages, has a lot more of the responsibility kind of to keep the baby alive and happy and
Mm-hmm.
healthy and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, but like, what about historically? Like, we know Jose never had a job because it got brought up during this financial conversation, but has she ever had a job? Like, were neither of them working? Were,
Probably not.
what's the plan moving forward? We're talking about the immediate today, but like you said, like we're going back to school. Okay, what about during the day? Where's this baby gonna go during the day? Because grandma ends up not taking care of it. Like,
Right.
these are conversations that I wish we were seeing, that we
I
know that are being had.
I wonder if something else that's not being discussed is maybe she's going to get a GED or do home instruction. There's a lot more virtual options now for high school post COVID. And I wonder if she's going to be expected to do that while taking care of the baby,
But again,
which
would be
is a
great to
lot.
know.
Yeah, it would be great to know. And I think that from her mother's perspective, the way I would probably look at it is this is my 16-year-old daughter. I was going to be providing for her for the next couple of years, regardless of what happens. I did not intend to take care of another 16-year-old who I did not give birth to. And so if he's going to live here and like it, and we have this baby, then he should be taking financial responsibility because he made this adult decision. But maybe I'm still viewing my daughter as more of a minor child, even though it's complicated because they both are.
I
But
think
he
that
could stay with
is,
his mom and not do that also. Like that is an option
I mean,
if he
his
wants to
mom
live
moved
there.
across town. So, like, then I think the problem would be he's not involved with the baby. Like, I think
Right.
him asking to move in was more to do with the fact his mom moving across town and he
Mhm.
wants to be in this baby's life. And I give him credit for that. Like, hey,
Me too.
let me
I think it's
step
the right
up.
decision
Yeah.
also in this case because I'm not always, we can talk about this with other people on the show as well, but I'm not always in favor of the boyfriend moving in just because we had a baby. I don't think that's like a necessary, always the thing. I feel like in this case, it might make the most sense. But I also don't know that that needs to be a permanent thing. And that's kind of how they're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if maybe it would be even more appropriate to say, you could live here for 6 months and then you can start taking the baby to your mom's house because you'll have a driver's license by then. Because that's also part of it is 16. I mean, maybe he has a permit, but he probably can't drive by himself and he probably can't drive with an infant in his car.
If it's your infant, probably.
Yeah, but not with a permit. You need a license.
Yeah, I don't know what their state age is.
Right.
But yeah,
So,
I really think I think mom probably is thinking I already support it. But again, she wasn't, if with that logic, she wasn't planning on supporting this other human. She was
right.
looking to do her baby, fine. Like,
Hmm.
then her baby needs to support her baby. Like, it
Sure.
all trickles down. But again, I wish these were conversations we were seeing and us not just speculating things. When you
Hmm.
have, they clearly have the footage, and you know these conversations are being said because you can read between the lines of contextually things that they're talking about and referring to. It's just
Right.
annoying.
Well, I mean, we've already talked about them longer than they were on this episode. So, I mean, because we have to extrapolate because it's so, it's such a small amount that I feel like we're just picking at them because we don't see anything. And they're obviously being the most normal of all of these people. Like,
Yes.
in my opinion, they're being very normal and they're having regular rubbings up of we need to pay for things, we need to figure out where we're going to live, who's going to do what, whatever. It's all very normal, but so there's not too much for us to criticize, but it's still, that's what we're gonna do.
We just want
Mm-hmm. I
more.
think there is more.
All right. What about Mia and Jesse?
Yeah, definitely. Um, her mom. So we can talk about they're setting up for the baby shower, right? And Jesse's kind of helping, but also kind of creating some stress and havoc as well. But I understood Mia a lot in this moment because when I'm setting up for something, like if I'm having a party, I just want things to be the way that I want them to be. And so if I'm explaining to someone how to make it how I want it, I often am just I need to just do it myself and
Yeah.
it's more stressful.
I think she was creating her own chaos at the moment, but I think all of us have done that. I completely agree.
Well, you have a vision and sometimes it's hard to communicate and especially if you have a very immature boyfriend who's like kind of goofing off, like that would in normally it would be fine. But at that moment, you'd be like, "Oh my god, get out of my way. I just need to set everything up and people are coming over and I want to, and also she wasn't ready. So you want to look nice."
Exactly. And I think they were still focused on this fact that he wasn't allowed to sleep over the day before to help like get up early and all that stuff. However, I think it's just at this point the decision has been made, get over it. Like, if anything, him showing up early, but earlier than the time he said he would, actively helping set up, that's all going to show her dad more than the convenience of staying over and rolling out of bed. And like, I think her dad is a man of action. Like, if he was like, hey, you didn't even ask, it was like he showed up on time early, brought breakfast, was like, hey, I'm ready to help, and stayed late, cleaned up, thank you for having me, and then left. Like, I think things like that would mean more to her dad than the complaining of, well, I didn't get my way. Wah.
100%. And her friends that were helping set up, they didn't sleep over. So it's not like it's a requirement or whatever for everyone to sleep over to be helpful. So I agree. I think I could understand wanting him to sleep over, but I do think they're being annoying about it and they're trying to break him down. And I think that ultimately Keith's just going to make the decisions for his household. And that's fine, like appropriate.
Yeah, I agree. But I think this was again a as time was going, we had one major thing. So he was annoying about it and stressed her out, but he showed up. He was there to help. Uh, Mia's dad was never planning on being at the baby shower because it is kind of more of a woman's thing. Totally get it. Most of the time, I feel like dads aren't really there anyway. It is like the moms and the aunties and the friends and like and so Jesse's mom shows up and all her friends and her family except for her mom.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like usually the dads, especially the dad of the mom, is not usually at the baby shower. It did make me a little sad though, because Mia clearly wasn't expecting her mom to show up on time or at all. So I feel like if I was her, I would want, my dad to stay. Um, but I understood also that he was trying to avoid there being a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And also I think he feels a little bit more introverted anyway. I don't think that was really like his bag to be at a baby shower.
Yeah.
And also he's not thrilled about his daughter having a baby at 16. So he may also be one of those parents that doesn't really feel like a baby shower is appropriate,
Mm.
which I do understand as well. I don't really agree with it, but I do understand it.
I don't know if it's necessary that he doesn't think it's appropriate. I do think he I is not thrilled, which is not news to anybody. But I do think that reading between the lines, her mom had been saying she was going to be there, talking a big game, and the two of them don't get along, and it seems like her mom causes a lot of drama. And if mom's pushing, I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there, he wants his daughter to enjoy this day. Like he can see she's went and bought decorations and planned it and
Yeah.
invitations, and he doesn't
Mhm.
want to take that from her. Is kind of how I took it. Um,
Yeah, I think there's multiple reasons, all of which I think are valid and understandable.
yeah, and I do think we know that Mia's mom has a history of being flaky, not showing up, not being there. But I think, particularly at that age, you still convince yourself when it really matters, they're going to be there. When she shows
Right.
up and it really matters, she's going to do it this time. This one's important.
Mhm.
And I think she was doing that again because hours went by,
Yeah.
she didn't hear anything. Then it kept going and she kept trying to distract herself, but you know they're not there. And I think she was again, she got her hopes up, and looking back on it, you can when she talks about it, you could kind of see her be like, she should have known better kind of facial expression. Uh,
Yeah.
her mom did eventually show up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock after everything was basically over,
People were
claiming
starting to leave.
people already had
It was
left,
ugh. Because it'd been like 3 hours since the party started, and she was late, and she showed up with an unwrapped gift.
saying her car broke
And I,
down again.
well, she's got the most unreliable car in the world, apparently, because everybody was saying, oh, well, this is always her excuse. And that's also people in my life who maybe struggle with substances also seem to have a lot of car issues. And I think that maybe that's what's going on here. And I think that would explain a lot more. And I think it's kind of a bad cycle of things, because if her mom is used to being a disappointment to Mia and has a lot of struggles in her life, that can also be a self feeding cycle of being nervous to go, so getting high, getting too high to go, so you have to wait, realizing that you don't have a gift, so now you're running around trying to get a gift. It has to be the perfect gift, and then you're running around, and then you're not ready, so you have to get ready, and now 3.5 hours have gone by and you're rolling up.
Yeah, they did come
Yeah.
out in this episode and did say Mia's mom has a history of being in and out of jail. She does have an addiction
Mhm.
history. Like they came out with it this time. I think all the episodes
Right.
prior they kind of alluded to it, but this time flat out. And I don't know if she's completely aware of her behavior, um, because she kind of when the mom starts talking, goes out saying that she wished she was more involved like it was before, or and wished her daughter was needy. And
Ugh.
but like, how can you want your daughter to be needy to you if you're not reliable to fill said need? Doesn't make any sense.
Right. I mean, my interpretation of that was more of like, I want you to be a little kid who thinks I'm amazing and has no criticisms of me. And that's what little kids are. Like, they look at their parents like they're amazing, and then they grow up and they get a little bit of perspective and they're able to look at things a little more critically. And you're not showing up for your daughter and you're not reliable. And so she is not choosing to be independent. She has to be independent. She cannot rely on you. So she has to put up these walls. She has to put up boundaries, because if she relied on her mom for everything, she would be left outside in the cold and waiting for 4 hours.
Right.
It's pretty sad.
And I'd be very curious, like, what the breaking point was, because she kept saying, like it used to be. So
Mm-hmm.
clearly, there was a time that that was the case. And we know
Yeah.
they separated at some point. But I'm very curious if we'll ever find out what that breaking point was to switch the, oh, she used to come to me and share things to me. Like, I'm wondering what Mia's breaking point was.
Well, there's probably many breaking points, but I feel like with prison time, with addiction, with whatever else she has going on, there was probably multiple incidents of Mia getting her heart absolutely broken and promises not coming through and expectations being dashed. And you just build up a barrier, when someone's constantly letting you down. And to see her dad, who's clearly still very upset about how things went down, it just, there's probably so many reasons. And maybe her mom thinks it's a specific thing. I kind of think it was a overall, um I can't rely on her, so I don't rely on her.
Yeah, I'd agree. And then I think coming up after that, again, not relying on her, there became this conversation about who's going to be in the delivery room, which I think is weird. Having a
Me
conversation
too.
on who's going to be in the delivery room, not being led by the person who's pregnant. Like,
It happens so much though.
it's
It's like a very common trope that moms, mother-in-laws, sisters, whoever just think they're entitled to be in the delivery room, and nobody is entitled to be in the delivery room except for the delivering person
right.
and whoever they want to be there.
So I think it's kind of weird that we do see this often. I do get like they're young and like their kids, they want their quote mom there, but like still weird. Uh and with this one, you have Jesse's mom saying she wants to be there,
Mhm.
and Mia's mom being like, "There's no question, we know who it's going to be," basically implying herself. And Mia's like,
Right.
No, no, none of you are going to be there. Jesse will be there, and me, and like that's it." Which, A, stand up for yourself, proud of you. B,
Yeah.
you, Mia's mom, you want to be in that delivery room. You can't even come to a baby shower that you know in advance is happening. How in the world are you going to be reliable to show up when this baby is being born when you don't know what's happening?
And Mia can't even know what state that she's going to be in or anything. Like, calling her any time of day, you don't know what version of your mother you're going to get,
Mm-hmm.
if she's even okay to drive. And her car troubles that she has.
Right.
Who knows if she'll even make it there. So, yeah, and when you want people to support you in a vulnerable moment in your life, that's probably not the kind of person you want there. I understand her wanting Jesse there. That makes a ton of sense to me. And I think it's quite common for people to only have their boyfriend or husband in the delivery room. I could understand why Jesse's mom wants to be there. And I think offering is lovely.
Yeah.
Insisting is bizarre,
Yes, I agree with that statement.
inappropriate,
Yeah. But she
very
has been
inappropriate.
there for her. And we have seen evidence of her like getting to know Mia and caring for
Mm,
her and being supportive. And So I see where like an offer would be nice, but yeah, the
Hmm.
demand and expectation is wild.
It's so inappropriate and puts Mia in a terrible position, especially to talk about at her baby shower in front of her deadbeat mom. Let's just not.
Yeah.
And you could off I'll be, you know what, I'll be available if you guys need me, if you need me to run errands, if you need me to go get ice chips, if you need me to bring you a change of clothes, anything you need, I'll be available that whole time no matter what, if you guys want me. Otherwise, I'll go to your house and I'll help set up for you to come back. Like there's a lot of things that you could offer to do where maybe that would lead to Mia inviting you into the delivery room. But I think it's a weird expectation to have and not an entitlement.
Yeah. I think the last thing for them is I was just very impressed with the turnout of that baby shower.
It looked really
It was
cute.
super cute. There were a lot of people that showed up, participated, and they did games. Like I thought it went. I think overall it was nice.
Yeah, and she got a lot of good gifts, and hopefully that really helped them get a lot of the things that they need for the baby. Because it looked like a lot of big boxes of
Yeah.
things that they were getting, and she had a registry, so they should be pretty well stocked at least, which makes maybe the decorations almost worth it.
All cow print of $800 of cow print.
Yeah, I don't know if any of that stuff's going to be reusable for future events, but it did look really nice. And she looked great, and I think they got a lot of good family photos. Although obviously her mom is not in the family photos because she wasn't even there. That's a bummer.
Yeah, that's it.
Ugh.
Yep. But we have one couple left, which I feel like is consistently the one that is the most controversial.
We could call them our favorites, but I don't know if that's
They're up there.
the right way to
I don't
say it.
know if
Yeah.
I'm not committed to fully picking them, but they're up there. I I love it.
I love it. I worry for them
I
though.
so
I think
much.
I worry for them more than anyone else,
Absolutely.
but they are very
Probably
entertaining.
the
There's a
worst
lot.
family dynamic from a health standpoint, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like I
Oh
think
yeah.
Isabel and Bryce have the worst family dynamic as a whole. But I think
Mhm.
Bella and Hunter have the most unhealthy family dynamic from a complete opposite end of the spectrum. Like your families are too caring and too supportive and get along too well. Like complete other end.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like, would you rather have like a super enmeshed family dynamic where the two sides are very interconnected and everybody's like up each other's butts, or would you rather have fighting and we can't even be in the same room?
And it, well, I don't know. I think the biggest problem with these two is really their ages and the
Hmm.
dynamic that the parents have allowed for a 13 and 15-year-old to develop is really the concern because they're behaving much older and it's not a surprise that they ended up pregnant when your kids are living together at 13 and 15 years old and sharing a bedroom.
Oh my gosh. Even just hearing you say that, it sounds really bad. And it is really bad. They're not even just being enabled, they're being encouraged.
Yes,
And I could understand it kind of now that they're pregnant, but I don't think this is new now that they're pregnant. I
no,
think that this is the
I
dynamic.
agree. But I think so. The big thing in this episode was Bella had some maternity photos being done, which cute. I get it. You're having a baby. Um, and again, I think it reinforces the fact of like they are very supportive of this baby being born. We find out her
Mhm.
older sister, who's 19, is also pregnant,
Right.
which
Right.
I wish I was surprised, but they said that. I was like, yeah, that tracks.
It does track. And I guess, it's nice to have support and other people going through the same stuff, but it also speaks to a a dysfunction. And like this is multi-generational teen motherhood and cycles of trauma and poverty repeating themselves. And it's a bummer. I mean, obviously at 19 it's very different than being 15,
Sure.
but it's still not great.
Yeah.
Didn't quite beat teen motherhood at that point. And that was a tried for baby, like an intentional pregnancy, which my opinion is that is also true of Bella's baby. I don't think that was an accident either.
I don't totally think so either.
Yeah.
Um, so one, and again, we're going down the Hunter's 13, gotta cut him some slack train again, which I'm getting really fed up with. Uh, so the maternity photos, Hunter didn't show up because he wasn't responding, and then his mom called saying he was sleeping. Wake him up.
Yeah.
Wake his
I'm
ass up and tell him to go to the photo shoot.
well, yeah. So he didn't want to go for the photo shoot, but he does end up coming to the photo shoot eventually. And or no.
No, he came
No,
after.
he was there. He came after. And then he doesn't. Oh, but is it that he doesn't want to go to her ultrasound? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so she basically, they had an ultrasound later that day, and he was saying that, telling his mom he didn't want to go, he wasn't going to do it. So she called Bella to tell Bella that he didn't want to do it, and then Bella freaked out, and then that's when her mom drove and picked up Hunter to bring him to where the photo shoot was to have Bella talk to Hunter.
It is so inappropriate. It is bizarrely inappropriate. I I don't understand Fallon's motives. I guess on one level I understand like your daughter is pregnant and on one hand she like loves this kid and that's the father of her child and you want them to make it work. But when Bella's saying stuff like mom will not let me leave Hunter and then she's the one going to pick him up and bringing him, it's and he's sitting in the backseat of the car and talking to her about how it's so awkward, like it's such a bad situation with Bella. Like there's so many blurred lines, there's not even lines anymore. I think Fallon is completely in her daughter's relationship, and it, it gives me the heebie jeebies, honestly. It's like, are you into Hunter? What's the deal?
Yeah, and like we see a couple times in this episode Bella being like, I've tried breaking up with him and my mom won't let me. Or she's apparently had a lot of conversations of like, I don't want to be with him. And it constantly being told, no, you have to work it out because Hunter's family doesn't have a good family dynamic and you're going to help be there for him. And I mean, yes, his parents aren't together, but it seems like he comes from a loving family. Like on both sides are there. Like
Yeah,
it's a weird, it's weird. And
it's very weird.
when you have this fight happening and then again, he's 13, give him some slack, but she's 15. Like it's not like she's this like 18-year-old grown woman. Like they're both young. Like, if you cut him slack, why is she not getting cut slack? They're both children.
Well, they excuse a lot of things for Hunter saying that he's 13. I feel like what we're not saying and what they're not acknowledging, his mom does a little bit, but not in a serious way, is that him going to bed at 5 p.m. or 12 p.m. or sleeping all day long, that is a sign of depression, pretty major clinical depression. It's not normal teenage behavior to sleep all day like that. And that's not just oh, he's 13. No, maybe he needs help.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
Like, teenagers sleep a ton. There's no question about that.
Sure.
Like, I was sleeping until 1, 2 o'clock as a teenager, going fair. But I also think, like, even if he's not sleeping, he's just laying in bed. Like, I do think that he is some kind of depression. And they even talk about it like, hey, maybe like he is depressed. Then help him. Don't just acknowledge it, ignore it, and like let him keep going.
Oh, he's 13. He's depressed. He's an amazing athlete. It's like everything you're saying sounds ridiculous. If you think that your 13-year-old child is extremely depressed, you should be, and you think that part of the reason for that is this real or not problem that he's having with his father, or the pressures of extremely young teen fatherhood himself, or whatever it is, the kid is failing school. He's not even showing up to school half the time. He is going to bed for the night at 5 p.m. Something is not going well chemically right now for Hunter. And if he's shutting down because he can't handle his reality, that also kind of makes sense to me. I do get that. He has a lot on his plate, and I don't think anybody in his life is helping them. And I think it's just such an unrealistic and crazy expectation to think that these kids are going to stay together anyway. I think it's a nice idea if they do, but that is not a reasonable expectation, in my opinion. I think we try to set them up for success. We try to help them with co parenting. If they stay together, what a bonus. That's easier for everybody. But that cannot be your expectation that these kids are going to stay together for the rest of their lives. And if they don't, it's breaking up two families. What kind of kid could handle that amount of pressure? I feel like it's so much more realistic to be like, well, we're in this situation now and we're going to help you guys as much as we possibly can. And we're going to all try to stay on good terms. And, you support them, but forcing them to stay together. I mean, her mom was giving her the silent treatment because she wasn't talking to Hunter.
Yeah, that
That
gave me the
is,
ick.
that is like bizarre. The ick has been felt.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because the comment of breaking up two families, I just fully think is incorrect. They're breaking up one family, the one that they made together. With it would be him, her, and the baby. That is the family that would be broken up. That's it. The other illusion of this second family is not it. They would be breaking up the family they created. And I do agree with the the mom thing. And we see a glimmer of hope, kind of like Bell's like flat out was giving her the silent treatment, which was the most ridiculous thing. And Bella was being the adult, being like, "Hey, can we have a conversation? Like, what's going on?" And her mom just standing there pouting, which I think again, why is the 15-year-old being the adult? Uh, and we do see a glimmer of hope where her mom does sit down. She's like, "You're," during the interview, and she's like, "I do take Hunter's side a lot because I feel bad and like he deserved blah blah blah." And then during the conversation with Bella, she's like, "Listen, I understand if it doesn't work out. Like, I just feel like you guys need to try." Like, I think it is coming from a good place, and every once in a while, she gets a little bit of a clarity of, "Hey, this might not be what we thought it will end. It could, but like it might not. And what's best for my kid needs to be thought about, not necessarily what's best for someone else's kid." Um, and it does sound like Bella tries really hard to communicate with Hunter, and Hunter just won't communicate back. And that's something that her mom struggles accepting. And like Hunter's not the one putting in the effort. Why is it then Bella's fault? Like it's that same like unhealthy relationship where if someone like spills something and then they get told it's their fault that they like I knock over your glass, but then I'm going to tell you it's your fault because you put the glass there. Like it's that very unhealthy dynamic that they're seeing from a parent enforcing it. Like a 13-year-old's going to learn how to behave. A 15-year-old's going to learn how to behave and stand up for themselves and how a dynamic of a relationship works. But when it's being reinforced by your parent, that's concerning.
Yeah. I mean, I think you made a lot of really good points. And I totally agree that she needs to be looking out for her own kid. And I thought it was kind of alarming that Bella seemed to skip her ultrasound. like her and her sister just decided they weren't going to go because Hunter wasn't going. I understand that you're very like emotionally distraught, but I hope that she rescheduled it. And if I was Fallon, that would be more of my priority.
Yeah.
Like, Hunter doesn't need to come for your medical appointments, but you need to go.
Right.
And this is important, and your health is important. And that's what we have to be prioritizing here is the health and safety of mom and baby. Like, how are these not the highest priorities? And Hunter coming to the ultrasound is make or break? I really don't think so. I I think that we're setting them up for failure in a lot of ways, and it's way too much pressure. They already have so much pressure and they're not handling it very well. So why don't we just jump it up a bunch of notches, and maybe we should tell them they should get married, even though what state could they get married in when he's 13?
Um,
I mean, usually child brides are what you hear
I
about, not so
know.
much child grooms.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of like what's that state? Is it
And I
New
mean, there are some states
Mexico?
where you can get married at 14. So,
Yeah, they'd have to do a little drive.
yeah, they need parental permission, which I don't think Hunter's dad is going to be signing off, but I don't know how many parents need to
That's true. How many
agree.
parents? You only need one because if that's the case, they're getting hitched.
Oh, these moms would be
Yeah.
thrilled. They'd be throwing a bridal shower,
Because I even think
honeymoon.
Bella's dad is like uncomfortable with it. Like when he does chime in, it's never in support of this relationship. It's like leave them alone to be kids and figure it out. Like
Yeah, I think he probably recognizes that it's weird. And he probably also is kind of side eyeing his wife. Why are you constantly defending this boy? Why are you obsessed with him? Why are you picking him up and driving him around by yourself? I mean, did your mom ever drive your boyfriend anywhere without you when you were a teenager? I feel
no.
like that by itself is so weird.
Like I could see like once in a while, like, hey, because again, they are neighbors, right? And that's where
Sure.
we're having that grayness of like, hey,
Ugh, it's
if
a
you got
problem.
because and again, small town, not really kind of in the middle of nowhere when we saw the zoom out of their houses. Hey, it can you just bring him there? I'm stuck at work. Like I feel like neighbors do that all the time. If you're close with your neighbor. Hey, can like little Susie stay at your house until I get off work? Like and I
Hmm.
think that's the part that we're missing is that he is also
Yeah.
their neighbor. It's not just her boyfriend.
Yeah, he's just a kid in the neighborhood,
Right.
which is is all pretty gross.
You know, the whole thing is just weird.
I enjoyed their segment. I do find it kind of creepy when Bella talks about how much sex they're having, just because they're so young. And again, very enabled, weird dynamic happening here. But
Yeah,
they're very interesting to watch,
they
and I'll keep
are.
watching it.
And I don't know. I feel like talking about your sex life in front of your mom, I recognize you're pregnant. She knows you had sex. But even like a grown adult talking about your sex life in front of your mom is weird. Like,
I would never do that. I would literally never do that. And I'm like 20 years older than
it's
Bella.
weird. And the fact that she's just like casually being like, yeah, I don't mind my stomach and my stretch marks because he still wants to have sex with me all the time, every night in our room. Like, that's weird.
But her mom does not shut it down. She's not like, oh my gosh, Bella, don't say that or whatever. And I understand being sex positive, but
That's too much.
it's ridiculous.
It's too
It's
much.
too much. It's way too much. There's no boundaries. It's way too a mesh. And I think if I had my pick, I would want to be more in an Isabella than a Bella situation, family wise. It's too much overlap happening.
Neither. Oh God. Honestly, run
Neither.
away.
I want to be in Amaya's family the
Yes.
most.
Or even Mia. Even Mia, I feel like actually has a better situation because granted,
Normal
her
dad.
mom is awful, but her dad is there. Her dad is like,
Yeah.
hey, I don't agree with your decisions, but here we are. I love you. We're going to figure it out. Like, yeah, I think of the four, I'd have to pick Mia because I feel like there's a secret. I don't know. There's just something. Amaya's just too normal. Her mom is too normal to be on this show.
Yeah, like what's the motivation there? That is a good
Because
point.
there have been plenty more people that applied. Like, what was the thing that got you on the show? You guys can't be this normal.
It's also hard to pick Amaya's family, I guess, because we don't know anything about
True.
them. But I think really for a kid in this kind of situation, you need one normal, stable adult. And Mia definitely has that. And I don't know that we can say that about anybody else in
We
this
also don't know
entire
anything
cast.
about Amaya's dad.
We
We
don't.
only have seen mom.
And we haven't really seen much of Jose's parents either,
Right.
or heard much about them.
So, yeah, who never thought I'd say that, but and honestly, Mia's doing all right. She's working, she's going to school, she's got like she actually
She had a great baby shower.
great baby shower. Like I feel like of the four for this episode, she's doing all right. Like I'm a little proud of
Yeah.
her.
Probably because she does have a parent that's providing a little bit of structure, because the mom's not doing it. She's just a whirling chaos all the time. And I think that Jesse's mom, while not perfect, because nobody's perfect, she does seem to be very loving and present,
Yeah.
which is going to be helpful for them.
And very much like
And I
my
think,
son's gonna be a dad, he's gonna step up. And I
mm-hmm,
do think
mm-hmm,
if he was like, I don't want to do that, I'm tired, she'd look at him and be like, I don't give a shit that you're tired. You're gonna do this for your
yeah,
kid. Like I think she would be a good
right.
reinforcement for him too.
I agree. I think that he's going to have responsibilities, and that is a good thing for everybody.
Yeah. That's the couple that I'm actually intrigued on what goes on. If I'm like, are you gonna stay together? Are you gonna like
Mm-hmm.
that one's the one I'm intrigued about once the baby comes for a positive thing. I think the other ones it'll be interesting.
Yeah. It's hard to predict because sometimes people stay together in dysfunctional things for a very, very long time. But we shall see. All right. I think that's all for this week, and we'll pick up right here next week.
Until next time.
Bye.